I am more fascinated. Unbelievable career you had on the court, and we could talk about your son on the court.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your post-playing career, because you are an example of someone. So many athletes I've dealt with, their post-career has really been a problem, and they have not been able to get it together. And people have this feeling that every player can retire when they're done playing and be rich as can be for life. And you and I both know it's a tiny percentage of players who make life-changing money. What would you say, and I don't want to ask for a top 5 list, what's the number one thing that you have done post-playing career that you try to talk to players about, saying, look, this is how to do it?
You know what? Thank you for the compliment. I think for me, the thing that I kind of share with guys is, in your particular sport, it was a process to get to the high level of that particular sport. You had to practice, you had to go through certain process and everything like that. In the case of basketball, middle school, high school, AAU, college, and then eventually getting drafted. But that doesn't happen for a lot of folks. So I tell the modern day professional athlete that they have to operate the same way as they try to pursue their particular dream in the next endeavor in life. And that's really come down the ladder of your career, start at and build another foundation and educate yourself. And I've always been a big believer that you should always be a student athlete and be a student athlete in life, essentially always learning. And I think the biggest thing for professional athletes is that you realize your dream at the early part of the years of your life. And there's a lot more life to be led and a lot more life to be lived. And you have to prepare yourself for that and educate yourself for that. So I'm big into education in that particular field and endeavor that you want to get involved in, and really start from the bottom and work your way up as you did as as an athlete aspiring to be a professional athlete.
I love the dream concept that you just said, because in my life, I've achieved so many different dreams in different areas. I never understood the concept of, hey, you get one dream, and if you achieve it, that's it. You're done. Like, you've capped your life at 25 years old. Another thing that fans don't get, and many members of the media don't understand, the age of players when their career ends. In the real world, you're just starting. In the athletic world, you're finishing, and you have this view that you're old. Earlier today, while you were watching me sit in for Rich Eisen, we were talking about Father Time and LeBron James. And you would think that I was talking about LeBron as though he were an octogenarian. And in fact, he's really young, and his entire business career could just be starting. So in your post-playing career, how many dreams have you accomplished, and what's your next dream?
You know what, Dave, that's a great question. I've accomplished, I want to say, I'm probably a third of the dreams that I've accomplished. And
Amazing.
One thing about me is that I'm a builder at the end of the day. And what I mean by that is that, once I see something, I want to continue to build on top of that, and it's almost like a Lego set for me. You start to build a foundation, and then you continue to build, and you look around and you have a 30-story building, you know what I mean, that you architected and that you built from the ground up, and you have intimate knowledge of each floor. So for me, it's to continue to grow in the car business, the automobile business. We're Lexus and Toyota dealers throughout the country. And it's also important for me to bring my kids involved in that particular business so that they can look at it from the inception. And also for my son, he's playing basketball, but I often tell him, at the end of the day, we know that's going to end. It's either by choice or by somebody else's choice that you're not good enough. So what are you going to do now? So I challenge him often to really figure out what he wants to do now. If that's come into my business or to do something outside of that. And my daughter as well, she's been enfolded into my business. She's 27 years old. And so she works for me in a lot of different areas. So for me, I'm still dreaming and I'm still trying to chase dreams as well. And I think at this particular point, let me use the word not chase, but I kind of let things kind of flow towards me, David, if you know what I mean, so it's just kind of, for me, I just want to continue to be the best possible version of myself. My mother would have wanted that for me. She always taught me to have a big dream, to have a vision, go beyond of of what your thought process is. There's more out there for you. So I never looked at sports as the end all, the be all. I thought it was a stepping stone to more beautiful dreams and to meet great people and to learn from great people and learn from experiences.
I can only imagine how proud your mother would be when she thinks about what you're doing with the colorectal cancer awareness campaign. And you never know what's going to happen in life. And I never thought that I'd be involved in lung cancer, and then my sister died of it. So all of a sudden I'm involved in lung cancer, and that is how things work. And what you've done, I'd like you to tell us and tell Rich's amazing audience, because to me, it's better than being able to be a professional athlete, what you've done in this regard.
Yeah, I think professional sports are a tool to access other individuals that probably wouldn't have access to you. And it's a tool to share your story, your personal story, not just statistics or your accomplishments, but also share the human side of you. So I've teamed up with Exact Sciences and the Blue Hat Foundation to get people 45 and older to get screened from colon cancer. And why that's near and dear to my heart is that, you know, at the height of my NBA career in 2001, my mom was diagnosed with colon cancer. I was making an all-star team and I was riding high on that side of it. And then my mom, and I'm an only child, she was dealing with the disease that she didn't know much about. My mom at the time carried 200 pounds around like it was nothing. She was 5'11", and when I saw her in the hospital, she was 110 pounds. So you can only imagine what that did for me psychologically, and then have to go out there and perform on the court. It was really, really difficult. So, you know, I challenge people to go get screened who are 45 years and older. Is something that my mom experienced remission for 18 years. She eventually passed away from a heart issue pre-COVID in 2020, February of 2020.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, you know, but she lived a great life. She was 78 years old. She gave me core values. She gave me access to New York City, where I grew up. I'm born and raised in Harlem. She used to take me downtown all the time and expose me to a lot of different things. And, you know, my first passion was Major League Baseball. And I was a huge Yankee fan and a huge Dave Winfield fan. So I used to go to Yankee Stadium right across the bridge from Harlem and watch.
He's one of the nicest
games.
Hall of Famers, Jamal, of all time. Dave Winfield. You've had a chance to meet him?
Yeah, I got a chance to meet Dave on a couple of occasions. And I went up to him and I said, Dave, you don't know what an impact you had on my life. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, Dave, you know, I wanted to be you, but not necessarily the baseball player, but the integrity in what you presented on and off the field. That's what I wanted to be.
It's so binary when you meet your heroes, right? Because either they're really amazing, you're like, all right, I chose a good one, or they're super grumpy and they don't want to talk to you, and you're like, I loved you, and now I don't even like you. Dave Winfield, you chose a good one.
Yeah, I chose a good one, and he was kind, you know, and I spent some time with him, hours with him after that, and you know, I was still in awe by how gracious he was, and he was consistent, in my opinion, not only as a baseball player but as a human being. So for me, it's always been about my mom and her legacy, and that's why I decided to participate in this campaign to bring my personal story to it. And not only just talk about the disease, and that is colon cancer is the most preventable but least prevented cancer, but to really chat about, you know, also not just the patient or the potential patient, but also the people around, the caregiver, the supporters, and what they go through as well, because a lot of people don't talk about that. And I'm a big believer in getting screened early, especially at 45, because it's better to know than not to know.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.